So we've just covered a lot of area, but true to what Amanda Dory said, we didn't cover everything. So we have about 20 minutes for questions. Steve, please.
Asking the sufferance of the chair, I'm going to ask 2 questions. But first of all, what a wonderful and rich panel. All of you really enjoyed your presentations. The first question, the reason I'm bold to ask for 2 is because it's very direct and very quick. David, in your really nice summary on trade investment, direct foreign investment and aid, and the mention of the traditional European partners and Western partners and the emerging ones like China and Turkey and et cetera, you left out Brazil entirely. Are they not in the picture? The second question is prompted by Ebrahim Rasool, but it's something that's bothered me an awful lot for a long time. And that is, I don't take away the value of the Young African Leaders Initiative for those people who are involved. But it is an elite program. For it to be the flagship program of the United States in addressing the emerging youth of Africa is, in my mind, a bit irresponsible. The atypical African youth is a wheelbarrow boy in Congo Town Market in Monrovia, is a young person, a boy or a girl, who has no educational opportunities beyond primary, probably, and very little employment opportunities. They're marginalized. They are not chosen for aid programs, for YALI type exchanges. How can we begin to address the marginalized youth of Africa?
Let me take the first question, Steve. On Brazil, I think my fourth sentence was that China, India, and until recently, Brazil have become major players in the economies of African countries. You're right, I didn't say any more about Brazil after that because I've just come back from Brazil, and they are so preoccupied with internal political problems, internal economic problems, the Zika virus, the Olympics. They can't even think about Africa at the moment. They're almost out of the picture. Now they will return, and they're still engaged in the bureaucratic level with Africa, but at the leadership level, Brazil is just, they're sort of not there for the time being. They will be back, there's no question about it. But I'd put Brazil off to the side for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, no, thanks very much. I think that I've seen, just from the South Africans who were part of YALI, the enormous value for those South African young people and for the other African ones, and I make a point of speaking to them whenever they are here and they ask me to. I think that my worry is the marginalized ones. I'm worried that in an atmosphere of declining opportunity and no educational intervention and skilling intervention, those are the particular groups who could be available to nefarious activities, whether of the criminal kind or of the terror kind. And therefore, I think what I was asking for in coded way was for a US approach to it, as was discussed in the earlier panel, that manages to recognize the real great talent that is obvious across the continent, but not neglect the marginalized ones who could be available for a variety of nefarious purposes. And so this new model that we're looking at has to be not simply nationally based in Africa. I think that there are possibilities of regional institutions that could be language-based as well. I think that the balance between academic and vocational, I think, is absolutely critical. I think that if we are going to have migration across the world, let it not be because of problems at home, but because of opportunities available that we have the skills for. So I think that it's time for us to find ways to speak to the young people, because too much emphasis on the elite young people leads to the very difficult politics of envy on the continent. And I think that that's what one wants to avoid.